Hello, this is CurtisCroweThePhotoPro. Today we're going to talk about the 5 things you want to say when you're handling wedding clients. These things are going to make your brides feel better and more comfortable with working with you because they're going to know that you have everything under control. The first thing is, I bring a second shooter to ensure that the entire event is covered and that we can really take a lot of very beautiful photos of your perfect day. Yes, you are the primary shooter and they are paying for your style of photography. But you never know when something's going to happen at a wedding. So you should always have a second shooter as an insurance policy. Let's say you get hit in the head or just something happens to you and you're unable to perform your duties. If you don't have a second shooter there, then you are opening yourself to the potential of getting a lawsuit. And nobody wants to get sued. It's always good to have a second shooter. And if you do have a second shooter, be sure to communicate that with them. Let them know that it's not because you are unable to perform the duties yourself, but it ensures that no matter what happens, there's twice the amount of coverage at your wedding. And if something happens to you, the photographer, you have an emergency backup plan. You want to make sure that every area is covered and they'll know and feel better using your services, knowing that you have a contingency plan at all times. And number 2, is there any family shots or group shots that you'd like me to get while I'm at the wedding? This is important because it shows the client that you are looking out for more than just them. You want to get the family shots. You want to tell the story. You want to get the event. Saying this doesn't seem like a very big deal, but it can be in the bride's mind. It shows that you are looking to cover every aspect of the wedding, and it gives them the opportunity to say, oh, I have family coming in, flying in from town. I want to make sure I get really nice photos of them. Because in most situations, you've never met this family. You don't know who's flown in from town. You don't know who's only here for a few days. So it's good to make sure you get everybody, but if they want anything specific for people that are flying in town or certain sides of the family, make sure you offer that to them so that way if they say yes, you can be sure that you do take care of that at the wedding instead of them possibly forgetting to ask you during their big day. They have 110 things going on. If they forget something, but you had this conversation before, you can then remind them and go ahead and set up the shot and make them happy. It's a small thing that can make a big difference. And for number 3, would you like a gender-specific second shooter? Now, because I am a male photographer, I'm always sure to ask this question because bridesmaids and brides and stuff like that, they want the shots of the gowns going on, the makeup going on, the hair being done, and all that other stuff. But they may not feel comfortable with a male photographer there. And in order to get really candid, beautiful photos, it's always important to find out what their preference is. If they don't have a preference, then obviously you always want the more skilled, typically the main shooter, photographer there. But if they don't feel comfortable with that, you want to give them the option so that way you can get the candid photos that they're really going to like and cherish when you go to deliver the final product. Now for number 4, we have, may I use your photos for promotional and marketing usages? This is important because you may put it in the contract and they may glance over it, but you want to have that verbal discussion because some people don't want to be posted all over the internet. Some people don't want to be used to sell a product or a service. So it's important to communicate that through them vocally so there's no surprises down the road. You don't want to lose a potential lifelong client because you forgot to say, hey, may I do this? Because you just assumed that they were going to read the contract. Go over everything the contract has, including the promotional and marketing usages. They don't want any surprises as much as you don't want any surprises. It's a good business practice, and if you can avoid any confrontations in the future, you're going to want to do so. Now, for number 5, what we have is, what do the perfect wedding photos look like to you? This is the most vital of all questions. This is where you establish the expectations of the photos. Now, you may be thinking to yourself, well, they're paying for my artistic eye. They are paying for how I perceive the event. That is very true. But if you can establish an expectation that you can meet and even better exceed with your own artistic eye, you can do so. So have this conversation with your bride. The end all be all, customer satisfaction, most important thing is make the bride happy. So find out what her expectations are. Go ahead and have that conversation, bounce your ideas, and find out where you land on what the photos should look like. This is going to save you a lot of pain and suffering, not knowing if she's going to like the photos, if you know what she's already going to like. So don't be arrogant enough where you're like, oh, whatever I take, she's going to like. She looked at my previous work, she's going to like it. No, talk to her about what she likes. Let her know what are the realistic expectations, because every bride goes onto Pinterest.com and every bride looks at those photos that are obviously staged and obviously fake. And if you're in the middle of the Colorado mountains and they want to go take beach pictures and there's no beach for hundreds of miles and they're like, oh, I want these shots, let them know what the expectation is. Listen, you're not going to be anywhere near a beach for your wedding. I can't make these photos happen. But what we can do is something like this. Or what do you like about that photo? Because maybe I can try to replicate it. Make sure you have that open communication with your client, because open communication is going to prevent a lot of headaches in the future. All right, well, that's about it for this video for today. That was the top 5 things you do want to say to clients. If you have any comments about things that should have been on this list, let us know down below. If there was things that helped you out, also let us know down below. And be sure to hit that like button if this did help you out. Hit that subscribe button for more content. This has been Curtis Crowe, the Photo Pro, and as I always do, toodles.